is there an artist kind of sort of equivalent of that? Like, where do you feel? I mean, obviously you put your stamp on the design, but to what degree do you put a stamp on? I don't know if it's his movements, his characterization. How is Batman really yours when you're working on Hush, say?
Gosh, well, not so much Hush, but on All-Star Batman and Robin, which I did with Frank. You know, he wrote the script, and obviously, you know, he's a consummate storyteller. So as soon as I would reach each panel, I could visualize immediately the way he would draw it, and so I had to kind of resist the temptation to do that. Just having studied a lot of his work, it kind of just came very easily. But you realize, hey, they're not asking you to do Frank Miller light or Frank Miller with lots of extra lines. They want you to draw something that's uniquely yours. So I would have that initial reaction, and then I would say, well, I should do something different. And so in that sense, that was kind of a unique process. Normally, when you read the script, it's the images come very quickly, and a lot of times I kind of act myself in the role. I don't know if you do that too. You kind of role play, and you know, which is always odd if someone walks in on you in appropriate times. Yeah, so I'm making sound effects. I really kind of immerse myself into it as I draw it. But in terms of, I just want to make sure I don't replicate a shot that someone else has done. I want to be inspired by the things that inspired me when I was a kid or growing up. So you want to reach that same level of inspiration through the art, but do it in a way that doesn't look like you're just mimicking or copying someone else's shots or, you know, style. So I don't know if that answered your question.
No, that's it. That's really cool.
I was like halfway through. I'm like, wait.
So this will be the last question, I think. But to me, I mean, Batman is very obviously like a very serious character, and both of you.
But funny at the same time.
But yeah, no, it's true. Both of you, in different ways, strike me as like creators who take the form very, very seriously. I mean, like comic books as an art form, and not necessarily. I mean, compared to some of your contemporaries, there's less, you know, sort of deconstruction and digression, and you know, like I deeply appreciate that. And to me, Batman is sort of perfect for that because he is sort of so steadfast over the years in a lot of ways. You know, from creator to creator. But is there something about Batman that makes him more appropriate for that sort of seriousness of the art form?
I don't know if I have an answer for that, other than I think he's for a non-powered character, he's fairly bulletproof, and that a lot of people can do very different takes on the character, and it still works. You know, and you know, so you look at a character like what Frank did in All-Star Batman and Robin, where he's the goddamn Batman, and he added that kind of element to the mythology and really kind of took him to a different place altogether. And you compare that with you know, previous works, you go, or even the Joker book that Brian Azzarello did, a very kind of darker take on the world of Batman, but it all still works. And I think it's a testament to the power of the character, the mythology, that at its core is just very timeless. But at the same time, it's a lot of fun as creators to go on and realize, hey, you don't have to slavishly follow what existed before. And I think that's the challenge and the fun of it.
Yeah, he exists at a really interesting intersection, I think, of like heroism and pathology, you know, all at once, where he's out there sacrificing himself and punishing himself in certain ways that you know are self-destructive, where the story isn't going to end well. It's not going to end with him married with kids and well-adjusted. But at the same time, what he does, he makes himself a target for all of the terrible things that we don't want to face, so that we're brave enough to face them in our own lives in some ways. The challenges that sort of are derivatives of that, the bigger sort of villains and fears that he stands up to, I think, in Gotham. And in that way, I think he's endlessly interesting, because he exists right at that intersection where you could say he's an outlaw, he's a bad guy, he breaks the law, and his friends can say, it's going to end badly, Bruce. You know, you're going to go down in flames, you're never going to have a family, you're going to be old and alone, and Batman Beyond, you're going to be dead. Or on the other side, you could say he's the greatest hero of all time, and he's you know, emblazoned on all the shields of Gotham, and that's great. And so he's right in the middle, you know, and in that way, I feel like there's this kind of incredibly rich element to his character where he's human, and that's what, you know, I mean, he's not perfect. He doesn't exist on one side of the light or the dark. He's right in the middle, and you can push him one way or another, kind of examine him from either side, and it lends itself endlessly, I think, to great storytelling, because we explore, as corny as it sounds, I think, what we think of as heroism or, you know, self-destructive bad behavior of, you know, of human nature through Batman, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? He's exactly what we want him to be, and the greatest hero, but he also is someone who's in terribly dark in another way, and self-sacrificing and punishing.
Well, I think we're going to go to you guys for some questions now.